Hey everyone, welcome back to Toasty TCG. In today's video, I've got my Rakdos control deck with the commander being Kellogg Dangerous Mind. The reason I chose Kellogg for my commander is he's actually really unique. While normally I like to just say like, hey, you know what the commander is doing, you're watching a deck list about him. Kellogg offers a lot of interesting things to kind of like think about, so I'm going to talk about him real quick. So to start off, of course, he got a 3-drop, 3/2 first strike haste. When he attacks, you make a treasure token. I'm getting that last ability in a little bit, but what's really cool here is he solves one of the biggest problems that Rakdos has with losing Dockside Extortionist is ramp. Rakdos really struggles at two of the biggest things in Magic, and that's card draw and ramp. So I feel like Kellogg kind of solves that ramp issue while offering a every like on each of your turns the ability to just hit someone for 3 or force them like to like use a chump blocker. No one ever really deems like Kellogg as a threat too often too. So it's very like often that like you'll cast him and you'll keep him until like there's like a board wipe. It's very rare that anyone says like I need to target remove the Kellogg. So this card's really cool and it's very unassuming, so people just leave it alone most of the time. For that last ability, you can sack fire treasures to, as a sorcery speed ability, take control of a creature as long as you control Kellogg. This ability is way worse than people try to make it out to be. Very often, like if someone does try to like paint you as a threat and go like, oh well, he can steal your commander. That's typically the argument that they try to use is like you should target the Kellogg player. They can steal your commander. The reason why this is actually a really, really weak argument is so there's actually several reasons. So to use this ability, you lose 5 treasures, right? And now let's say they have any removal, anything that like puts it back in your hand, exile, anything at all. Um, so you go Kellogg ability, I'm gonna steal your guy. In response, kill Kellogg. You've now lost 5 treasures, you've lost your commander, and you've pretty much lost a creature because you don't get to take their creature now. Or even if you did gain control of it for a little bit, so you've lost that. So you've gone -7 over 1 removal spell, and it's just like it's really bad. It also puts in people's head that you're going to try to use that ability again. So I typically try to avoid that ability, and if someone tries to politic, I just tell people, hey, that ability is really bad, here's why, and that person's argument is terrible. So it kind of makes them look really like they just don't know what they're like saying. So it's really good like counter politic. And also just like once again, Kellogg goes back under the radar, and it's sort of a very good way to kind of like defend yourself if someone tries to pull that. So yeah, overall Kellogg definitely solves one of Rakdos's issues, and just an overall really good commander. The reason that you're not gonna see Prosper in this list is typically Prosper is way like more of a threat to people. Even in the 99, like I've had times where like I tried Prosper as just like a little value engine. And I was like, oh, he'll just sit there, draw me a card, make me a treasure, because I'm not playing out of exile a whole lot. And I can't tell you a time where Prosper's made it around the table. So I'm usually just paying 4 mana to exile atop my library and play a land on my next turn. So overall, it's just I don't want to play Prosper, and Kellogg just feels like way safer, way faster with the like just 1 mana less. He's hitting right away. So I like Kellogg a lot. I've been wanting to build a Kellogg since the card got revealed. I just think he's a really cool design. All right, so let's get right into this. We're gonna start off, of course, with like our vegetables. That means our mana rocks. We got 6 mana rocks: Bauble, Ring, Thought Vessel, Arcane Signet, Mind Stone, Felwar, and a Jessica's Will. So normally I like to play more ramp. You normally see like a Dark Ritual next to the Jessica's Will, and like 2 more mana rocks. The reason I don't do that is just Kellogg, he's just making treasure tokens. So you really want to focus more on like your card advantage than your ramp. Because if you're drawing like only 1 card a turn and you already have all the ramp in the world, the last thing you want to see is more mana rocks. So we're just playing a little less ramp than usual. Speaking of card draw, we're playing more so just like card access, I guess you can call it, just so you can see more of your library. So that means like 1-for-1s like Demonic Tutor. Deadly Dispute is really strong in this deck because it's just an instant speed draw to. You just sack one of your treasures that Kellogg produces, and then Deadly Dispute replaces that treasure. So it's just instant speed draw 2 for Kellogg. Night's Whisper and Sign in Blood. Idol of Oblivion's really great. It's just every turn after Kellogg like attacks, you just tap this, make it draw a card. Necropotence, Rowan's Grim Search, Braid's Risen Nightmare, Yawgmoth's Will, One Ring, and Rakdos, Patron of Chaos. So these last four I just want to talk about real quick. Braids turns treasure tokens into card draw, quite like Deadly Dispute. Yawgmoth's Will is just like the same idea of like, I'm just like in Rakdos, I'm going to struggle to see my cards. This isn't a reanimator deck. This is just, I'm going to be able to see like all my cards a second time. So that way, if I'm not seeing card draw, I can just see like the other cards I've already gone through. Normally I don't like to play One Ring in non-life gain decks, but there are some like artifact sack outlets, like you can play Braids. Rowan's Grim Search, I believe, can sack an artifact to that. So there's a way to get rid of this late game, so you're not just like killing yourself to it. Rakdos, this card's been really good in like every time that I've seen it. No one's ever sacrificing permanents to this thing. You're always just drawing cards. You have a 6/6 flyer that every one of your end steps just says draw 2 cards. So that's all the card draw for this deck. Then onto our removal. Like I said, we're playing Rakdos Control, so we're playing a lot of removal. So to start off, we're playing the Vandal Blast and a Braid. Orcish Bowmasters, Feed the Swarm, Imp's Mischief. If you're looking for a sign to play Imp's Mischief, here it is. This card's an overperformer every single time I've seen it. This card is great. Terminate, Bitter Triumph, and Infernal Grasp. I pair these two together because I just want to say, if you're playing anything that's like a black deck, play these two cards. Bitter Triumph and Infernal Grasp feel so mandatory in like modern day Commander. Deflecting Swat, Chaos Warp, Bedevil, Withering Torment. I haven't seen it yet in like any of my games, so I'm sure it's solid. Delayed Blast Fireball. This card's amazing. I've been playing this for quite a while. I have a Daryl deck where I play this deck card in to like make copies of it. And I do something kind of similar in this deck, but the reason I really like this card in Kellogg is you always want to foretell this card typically, so that way you get the ability to deal 5 to each creature and each opponent. Well, each creature that you don't control. What's really cool about this is, so you go, like, you swing Kellogg. If someone tries to like do like a little combat trick where they're like, oh, well, I'll pump my creature in response, clear it as a blocker. You can then go cast Delayed Blast Fireball from your foretell, exile, 5 damage to everything, and then Kellogg deals 3 first strike. So these two combined are typically enough to kill anything where they try to combat trick you. So this is always like a very good card. And then it's also like kind of like a pseudo win condition because it's just going to clear the board. You can do it as an instant speed, so you can do it before your turn. You could do a response to someone trying to combo off. This card is really fantastic. Toxic Deluge, Deadly Rollick, Blast Act, and then finally I'm playing a Portal for 2 Phyrexia. Normally I'm not going to play like high mana pieces of removal like this, but I like this one a lot because Kellogg just kind of like ramps you out. So like what I mean is like, typically, like, let's say, like, turn 3, you play Kellogg, you swing and make a treasure. Turn 4, you play a land, you swing, you make a treasure. Turn 5, you play a land, you swing, you make a treasure. So then by turn 6, you drop another land. You can play Portal Phyrexia 3 turns early, and that's kind of like mid-early game. So this coming down super early like that is really strong. And it's also giving you a grind game, too. So I like this card a lot, and this is like not even saying like mana rocks. If you have a mana rock, you can play Portal Phyrexia on turn 5. Like, that's absolutely insane. So next up, we're going to talk about just like some artifact synergies. Reckless Fireweaver, Boomer Scrapper, Mayhem Devil, Marionette Master. These are all just like really good cards. So they're also kind of like unassuming too, which is cool. So you see Reckless Fireweaver come down, and it's just like, oh, okay, you attack with Kellogg, you'll make a treasure, hit the table for 1 every rotation, who cares? Boomer Scrapper is kind of the same thing. So if this guy attacks or enters, you lose a life, make a junk token, which you guys forgot what that mechanic is. It says on the rules text right here, so you get an artifact, it's tap, sacrifice it, exile top of your library, and you play that card this turn. You can only do that as a sorcery. If a token you control leaves, he gets a 1/1 counter, which is pretty cool. Mayhem Devil, it's just so you can turn all your tokens into like a little machine gun, just shoot things with treasure tokens. Marionette Master is just so you can like sack your artifacts. Someone loses 4 life. You're always fabricating for the +3. So we're just going to leave these guys off to the side here because these actually do come up in a moment later. But before that, we're just getting into our treasure generators. And if you like this type of video, just make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Very appreciated. So to start off, we've got Spiteful Banditry. I could have put this in the removal, but it's typically the that second ability where if a creature your opponent controls dies, you get to make a treasure. But this is kind of like a little bit of a blast act. You can put however much into X to deal that much when you play Spiteful Banditry once it enters. So it's typically like a kill spell plus make a treasure. And as long as it's sitting on the battlefield, once per turn you're probably making a treasure. Guild Artisan. This card is a huge overperformer. So this card is just whenever your commander attacks, if your commander gains this ability too. This isn't the ability of the enchantment. Your commander gains the ability that if you're attacking the opponent with the most life, you make 2 more treasure tokens. So now Kellogg with Guild Artisan reads, make 3 treasure tokens when he attacks. Treasure Map. This card's been a bit of a overperformer too. Pay 1, scry 1, and then if you've done this ability 3 times, you get to flip it over into a land and make 3 treasures. And the land is a sack outlet for treasures to draw a card. So you can put this in like treasure generators, into like card draw, into ramp gate, I guess. This goes into like a lot of different categories. Zorn doesn't make treasures exactly, but it's like whenever you make a treasure, you make an additional treasure. Facebreaker makes you a treasure for something you're already doing, which is dealing combat damage to your opponents. And then you can stack treasures to like have impulse draw. Seize the Spotlight. This has been like a new favorite of mine since like early mid last year. So each opponent either chooses Fame or Fortune. For every Fame vote, which no one's really ever doing, you gain control of a creature they control, untap it with haste. For everyone that chooses Fortune, you get to draw a card and make a treasure. Typically, no one's choosing Fame. No one wants you to take their creature for a turn even. Not even just for a turn. So this is typically a draw 3, make 3 treasures. This card is very good. Grim Hireling. This is, again, just make treasures what you're already doing. Deal combat to someone, make 2 treasures. And he's also a kill ability where you can sack treasures to give a creature -X to -X, equal to what you sacrifice. Then we have Reign of Riches. I don't typically like this card, but in this deck it feels very good. When it enters, you get 2 treasures. The first spell that you cast that you use treasures for gains Cascade. Bonehorde Dracosaur. This is another overperformer in red that I've just really come to love since last year. So Flying First Strike is a 5/5 for 5 mana. And then on your upkeep, you exile top 2 of your library. If you exile land, you make a 3/1. And then if you exile a non-land, you get to make a treasure token. So for everything that you exile this way, like if you exile 2 non-lands, this is 2 treasure tokens. Exile like 2 lands, or you can exile like a land and a non-token. This card's just very good. I like this card a lot. And then our final treasure generator is Goldspan Dragon. Just like when he attacks or becomes a target for any spell, you get to make a treasure token, and your treasure sack for double. And then we got two groups left. So I'm just gonna go over real quick the stuff that like doesn't really fit in anywhere specific. We've got Vexing Bauble, Reverberate. This has been a huge overperformer. In the last couple of months, I've been thinking about how a lot of commander decks will just they win out, kind of like not out of nowhere, but you can typically see where like someone's getting closer to winning, and it's typically off like some big spell. So I've been thinking like maybe playing Reverberate, or I play like Fork, things like that, where I'm just copying an instant or sorcery. So I typically like to hold this for the late game. So that way when someone tries to cast like their big win con, I can just copy it and steal their win con. This has worked for me for things like Exsanguinate. This can work for like Rise of the Dark Realms. This card's just like really cool. We're just like your big like 10 mana win con. Yeah, that's my win con now. I've been liking it a lot. Carter Doom Scourge is kind of like just helps you Pella forward out for rotation. Especially like if you have like a green player sitting right next to you that's making like a million elves and they're about to kill everyone. He's like, yeah, you can still kill everyone, you just can't kill me. And then just gets you that extra turn, makes the table have to fight each other. No Mercy. I've been liking this card quite a bit. So if a creature deals damage to you, you destroy it. So not only does this let you Pella fort, but this actually is very interesting because it doesn't say combat damage. So say for example that someone else has Reckless Fireweaver and they deal 1 damage to you, No Mercy destroys it. So it gets rid of like opponents like non-combat damage like win cons. I think that's kind of neat. Shieldred, I just think this card goes in like every black deck. And then Arcana Cruelty. So this can go in like a lot of different groups. I wasn't sure like where to put it honestly. It's removal, it's card draw, it's life loss. This card does like so much. This is a great card. So I kind of just like wanted to put it in just like an uncategorized pile. Now finally it's just these are cards that I feel like kind of synergize with Kellogg pretty good. To start off, we have Basilisk Collar. This just that gives the equipped creature First Strike Death Touch, which at first is kind of unassuming. But then when you pair Death Touch with First Strike, this just says anything that blocks Kellogg gets automatically killed. If you leave him up as a blocker, you have like an effectively unkillable blocker. This is just a really strong interaction. Sticky Fingers. It will give your your enchanted creature Menace, and if they deal damage, make a treasure. When it dies, you draw a card. Tarian Soul Cleaver. This card is really good here because so this gives your equipped creature, and like again, these are all typically just going to be on Kellogg. So it's going to give him Vigilance, and then whenever another artifact or creature goes to a grave, this can check for tokens. Because it doesn't say artifact or creature card, it just says artifact or creature goes to the grave from the battlefield. The equipped creature gets a 1/1 counter. So this means that if you leave, so you like equip it to Kellogg, he now has Vigilance, so you can just freely swing with him. Now, if anyone blocks that's like big enough to like actually get through First Strike and kill, you can then just in response sack your treasure tokens to pump up Kellogg. And you could do the same with blocking. If someone swings something that's too big for Kellogg, then you go like, okay, I'll just sack him treasures, make him bigger, block. So this card's just very good in this deck. Silver Shroud Costume is pretty good too. It gives your equipped creature makes it unblockable. But the turn that comes in, it has Flash, so you can just flash it in. When it enters the battlefield, it attaches right away to a creature, and that creature gains Shroud. So it kind of gives you the ability to like maneuver around like removal. The same goes for Mithril Coat, Flash. It itself has indestructible. ETB, it goes on to a legendary creature, and that creature has indestructible. So these are just like 2 3 mana like equipments that are very good. They both have Flash, and they both equip right away. So they provide like a lot of utility. Sword of Feast and Famine is kind of self-explanatory. Just like you're always attacking, so there's no reason not to play like the best sword, where you're swinging in, ripping a card, and untapping your lands. You're effectively taking like a second turn. Then we have Call of the Ring. I like this one a lot. So this way, if there are like things that can block Kellogg, and so like you're just totally like everyone has things that are too big for Kellogg to swing. You just give him Skulk now. You just play your call, next rotation, you make him the ring bearer, and now he's just going to have Skulks. You're just going to swing with him anyway, and you're going to draw cards along the way. We have Maha. This card makes all your opponent's toughness 1. So even if they do block, they still now have to they have to quadruple block. They have to quadruple block if they want to kill Kellogg, which no one's ever going to do. So this just makes all your opponent's creatures have to be chump blockers, and Kellogg's just going to First Strike kill them. And then finally, Roaming Throne. This is a card that I've been holding off on talking about because there's so many cool interactions with this deck for Roaming Throne that I didn't like realize until very recently. So you're always going human, so that way your commander triggers twice on his attacks to make 2 treasure tokens. But it's not just that. A lot of your artifact payoffs are humans. So like I had a game recently where I had these 3 cards out along with Kellogg and Roaming Throne. So it was like you attack with Kellogg, you make 2 treasure tokens. And now for each treasure token that enters, Reckless Fireweaver will deal 1 damage to each opponent. That gets doubled. So now it's 1, 2, 3, 4 damage to each opponent. What's really cool here is then I went play Marionette Master with the Roaming Throne already in play. So you fabricate twice. So you put 6 1/1 counters on the Marionette Master. So now it's really just absolutely absurd here is so you have 7 power on your Marionette Master. You crack a single treasure token. Target opponent loses life equal to Marionette Master's power. And it's a human. So that triggers twice. So now, even if you only have 2 treasure tokens, you can drain someone for 28 life. Because for every treasure token, you're doing 7, 14. So this is just 14 damage per cracking a treasure token. And then Reckless Fireweaver dealing another 4 damage to the whole table every time every time Kellogg attacks. And then Boomer Scrapper just gets 1/1 counters when you sacrifice your treasures. So he gets 2 1/1 counters instead. So that's kind of like not part of the whole equation here, but it's just like a neat little synergy because like they're all humans. You could also play the Marionette Apprentice. I just don't have one. Otherwise, I think that'd be a good addition to this deck. But overall, this is like a really cool interaction I discovered recently. I wanted to turn this deck into a Rakdos Humans pile after finding that, but I decided there was just like not enough synergy, and it's just Roaming Throne's a really busted and good card. Finally, for our lands, we're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 mountains. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 swamps. And then our 9 basics are Urza Saga, Talon Gates of Madara, just so you can blank your opponent's blockers or things that are trying to kill Kellogg or protect Kellogg himself. Phyrexia's Core, so you can sack your treasures for life gain. Mines of Moria, this card is really cool. So it enters untapped if you have a legendary creature. Taps for red, or for 3 in a red, you could exile 3 cards from your grave, which are typically not interacting with your grave in this deck outside the Yogg-Will, to make 2 treasure tokens. Bajuka Bog, Exotic Orchard, Command Tower, Shadowblood Ridge, Sulphurous Springs, Blood Cursed Mire, Blood Crypt, Smoldering Marsh, and Temple of Malice. So that's all the lands, 35 lands total, and that is my Kellogg deck tech. Again, this is pretty much just like a control deck where the win con is really not cut and clear for the most part. You're typically just like trying to like outvalue your opponents, remove any threats, and then eventually put some like threats on the board that are just like enough for you to win the game. Like, just play your Arcana Cruelty in the late game, Portal Phyrexia, assemble that little human combo with the Roaming Throne, reverberate someone else's win con. So this deck just has a lot of different unique ways to win. So it's really hard to, like, tell people, like, if anyone's trying to, like, pinpoint how you're going to win, it's really hard for them to, like, see where this deck is going because this deck can have so many different ways to win. And then it's like really hard to like this deck's very unassuming too, because like it doesn't start putting down threats super early. Just kind of like, I'll make my little treasure, I might ping someone for some damage, I don't know, I might make some extra treasures, and then late game it's just like, yeah, you guys just take 20 million damage. If you try to like interact with me, I'm gonna copy your interaction. I'm gonna play these like super mean creatures and Portal Phyrexia and just blow the whole table out. So this deck's really cool in that regard. I've been liking this deck a lot. Again, I've been wanting to build a Kellogg deck since the card was revealed. I just wasn't sure how I wanted to approach the deck because Rakdos just feels super awkward. And then once Dockside got banned, I was just like, I don't know if I want to build this deck anymore. I'm super happy with this deck so far, and I think it came out very well. It's been performing super good for me, and I hope you give this deck a try. If you like this type of video, again, just make sure to like, comment what you think about it, subscribe to the channel. Right now, we're on our way to 250 subscribers, so hope we get there. Again, just let me know what you guys think about this video, about this deck tech, and I will see you guys in the next one.